Hey everybody, today we're back with, well, a very interesting rogue deck, and as people have said in my comment section several times, they enjoy winning games by frustrating their opponent, and today we're going to look at a deck that'll definitely do that. The list is going to be mine, the concept is not. It was played by DJNulli, and he's been playing this quite a lot on the ladder and free play games, but he also played it in a tournament last Sunday. I don't want to get in the habit of just taking people's decks that I see on that they're just playing fun games with and then using it for content. But considering the fact that he did take it to a tournament and he did play it in a tournament, I feel like it's a little bit more fair game. And also, I'm not stealing his list and putting it out there. I am giving my own list for it. Or my take on it. I haven't talked to him personally. I guess I shouldn't say him. He or she, I haven't talked to them personally. And I don't know their exact counts on everything. But like I said, the concept is definitely theirs. So starting off here, it's going to play like a very straightforward turn 2 deck like you see with Arcanine or Benetti EX or anything like that. But the main concept is here is we're going to be using Gyarados EX with the Twister attack. And essentially, Twister lets you flip 2 coins if for each head you discard an energy attached to the defending Pokemon. This means that you could actually be discarding up to 2 energies just for the attack along with 40 damage. Now, the downside is, and why I consider this deck more of a fun deck than it's not going to take the tournament world by storm, is you can get 2 tails. And if you get 2 tails, the attack does nothing. So the deck is a ton of fun to play. And there's definitely been times where I will have very pissed off opponents because I get 2 heads and I discard all their energy and they can't do anything. But I've also had plenty of times where I need some key damage or I can't miss an attack and then I get double tails on Twister and I want to just delete the deck. So it's it's a fun deck to play. There's definitely some high risk, high reward components to it. But let's go ahead and jump into it here. So starting off, I play 4 Magikarp with Call for Friends. Magikarp by itself is kind of scary to start with only 30 hit points. But the Call for Friends attack lets you search your deck for 2 Pokemon. And it's any 2 Pokemon. They don't have to be Magikarp. So you can right off the bat grab your Lunatone Solrock combo. Or, yeah, I guess that's basically all you're going to want to grab with this. Next up, we play 4 copies of Gyarados EX. Now, as far as an actual turn 2 deck, Gyarados really isn't that bad. 130 hit points is higher than Arcanine, Hariyama, and Benetti EX, and it's all around pretty solid here. So the Twister attack, 1 water, 1 colorless, is perfect. This lets us attack turn 2 with it, but at the same time, too, it gives us a little bit more room in our energy lineup to play. But the second attack, Dragon Rage, for 2 water and 3 colorless, does 100 damage. And I think this is where this is why it's a playable deck. Twister's a fun attack to use, and you're going to be using it 90% of the time. But the fact that you can also threaten some really large damage numbers with the deck makes it, I think, is what makes it a playable deck beyond just a tier 3 bottom of the line deck. Because those 3 colorless energies can be just fulfilled with boost energy. So you can be using Twister, but you're always threatening that 100 damage. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of players just underestimate is just the threat. You don't even have to have the boost energy. Just the threat from you that your opponent knows, gosh, he can hit for 100 damage with the boost energy will affect how they have to play the game and take their turns. Next up, we play 1 Lunatone and 1 Solrock. This is something that I have been playing around with a lot lately, was playing the Moonglow Lunatone, and I think as far as I can tell, I'm the first one to play this, and it's not going to surprise me at all for this to catch on. I think this is far superior than the other Lunatone, so you guys are hearing it here first. I want credit for this when everybody starts playing this, but the idea behind it is it gives your Solrock free retreat. Now, this does a couple of different things. First off, that Solrock, it helps you, it gives you a 5th quote-unquote good opener, where if you do open with a Solrock and let's say a Mentor, you can instantly, you're going to have that free retreat. You don't have to waste the energy drop on the Soul Rock. The other thing is the Lunatone, it also opens up options for you to switch. So cards like Warp Point, cards like Warp Energy, it gives you a free retreater on the bench. I've been using this combination in basically all of my turn 2 style decks with a variety count of Warp Point and Warp Energies, and it plays fantastically. The other thing is Foresight, which I honestly will say that Foresight, in my opinion, is probably one of the most broken attacks in the RS to PK format. It's right up there with Sniff Out from Minim, where you look at the top 5 cards of either your deck or your opponent's deck, and you get to rearrange them in any order you like. This is great if you open with Lunatone, where you can rearrange the top cards of your deck. But as we play 3 EXs, our opponent is going to have to knock out 3 Gyarados to win the game. This gives us an option where we do get a quote-unquote free prize to feed them. So there's times where they'll knock out Gyarados number 1, they'll knock out Gyarados number 2, and I'll admin them to a 2-card hand, and then I'm going to try to rearrange. I can make a Foresight play to try to rearrange top cards of their deck, knowing that they're not going to draw anything. Now, this basically puts them in a situation where they have to get 2 cards off of that admin. Otherwise, they're probably just going to lose the game because they're not going to draw anything ever again. Now, I'm going to say that's not always... I'm not saying I do that every single game. I'm not saying that is the correct line to play in every single game. I'm just saying that's a very strong option that this Lunatone brings you. In all of the games I've played, I've had exactly one game where this actually... not having the other Lunatone mattered, and that was because I was playing against a Blaziken deck, which I luckily had a favorable matchup against anyways. But, yeah, I don't see any reason to play the other Lunatone. It's just, in my opinion, it's very subpar. Even if you want to play it as a consistency option, saying, well, hey, I get to grab a trainer out of my deck, Lunatone still gives you that consistency attack and Foresight, letting you look at your own top 5 cards of your deck. So I just think this Lunatone is far superior to the other one, and I think once players start seeing this more, I think it's going to catch on a lot. 1 copy of Holon's Magnemite. Yeah, this is high risk, high reward. I'm more or less just kind of testing this, and I've been doing it in a lot of my different turn 2 decks, but essentially you cannot miss an energy drop when you're playing a turn 2 deck, especially in those first 2 to 5 turns of the game. Your odds of winning that game drop dramatically if you miss an energy drop in that time frame. So Holon's Magnemite just gives me another out off Mentor. I've also been playing a higher count of Warp Point, or if you're playing a higher count of Warp Point, I'm not in this deck, but I have in other of my turn 2 decks. If you follow me on Twitter, I talked about this a little bit. But it makes me feel a little bit better about playing the Magnemite if I do play 3 or 4 Warp Point in the deck than I can. It's just more likely that if I do open with it, I could still get out of it. Alright, moving on. 4 Transceiver, 2 Mentor. Play a lower Mentor count in this. You just don't need it as badly, especially with Magikarp having the Call for Friends attack. You still do want that option. Say, for example, you open with, I guess, a Lunatone, Soul Rock, something where you do need to Mentor for that first Magikarp, and then you don't want to take the turn to actually Call for Friends. So it is good to play. You could technically go down to 1, but once again, that's incredibly risky that you prize it, so it's just not worth it. Play the 2 copies. 1 Holon Adventure, 1 Scientist, and then we play 1 copy of Holon Last. Anytime I'm playing specialty energies, in particular, I love to play Holon Last. So to be able to grab those boost energies, to grab those warp energies. You see this, it's a staple for me in Arcanine as well. Just, I absolutely have to be able to get those react energies when I need them. The Holon Last is definitely worth the spot here. 4 copies of Curse Stone. Curse Stone, so Desert Ruins and Crystal Beach both hurt you. You need to play a counter Stadium. Curse Stone is going to be your best option. I would love to play Crystal Beach in this deck. I think it fits the theme so well, but it just counters with the boost energy. You can't do it. So next up, I play 4 copy of Energy Removal 2. I'm not completely sold on this card, but once again, I think it fits the theme of the deck incredibly well, and it's a lot of fun to just remove your opponent's energies and watch them get upset about it. I don't know. Maybe that makes me a bad person. But, yeah, I play 4 ER2. The other option, and I want to talk about, so what DJNulli did when I saw him play it, is he played a Castaway Memory Berry combo, and then he played the Magikarp with Rage. I think this is really strong. And I love Castaway in the deck. I think Castaway in particular is very strong to be able to grab those energies, once again, ensuring you have those turn 1, turn 2 energies. The downside with that is Rage isn't going to hit for really any better numbers than Dragon Rage is, in my opinion. So they can come up and hit you for 70 or 80, and then let's say you Rage, you hit them for 10 plus 80, you're going to hit them for 90, 100, whatever. You're still going to be two-shotting most cards in the format, and if you're two-shotting anyways, most of the time you're just going to want a Twister to try to remove energy or put them in that spot where they have to attach to their active again. You don't want to get behind on energy drops, and that's one of the things that this deck excels at, is your opponent is constantly forced to attach energy to their active, which means they're not dropping energy to other things on the bench. So, like I said, I like the Castaway. The Castaway Memory Berry engine I don't think is bad. I guess I wouldn't go too heavily on the Memory Berry. Maybe play 1, play 2, and then maybe play Buffer Piece. Do something similar to you see in Banette, for example, when I posted my Banette list. The other downside is you do lose the Magikarp with Call for Friends, which, I don't know. I don't think, I like Call for Friends, but at the same time, too, I don't think that's going to make or break the deck. 4 copies of Rockets Admin, absolutely standard. Any sort of turn 2 deck you play, you want to make sure you've got that Rockets Admin, especially when we're playing that Lunatone Solrock combo. You want to be able to put those Pidgeot decks at lower hands while you're shutting off the Pidgeot. 3 Mary's Request, solid draw card, 3 Professor Elm's Training Method, and then 3 Steven's Advice. I've just noticed that a lot of decks in the RSPK format are once again back to playing big benches. You saw this in the past Sunday with decks like Nidoqueen, Rayquaza, Wobbuffet, and Meta Knight, all making the top 4. They all like to play huge benches. I think Steven's Advice is incredibly solid. 2 copies of Warp Point. Once again, just give you a little versatility in the deck. You can also hunt for cheap prizes later on in the game with Warp Point and Boost Energy. Then 1 copy of Scott. I think it's another solid card as a one-of in most turn 2 decks. Being able to grab you those Curse Stones, try to get that damage in play, maybe soften up a few targets here. The energy lineup is where I think the deck gets tricky. I like to play usually 16 energy, and anywhere from 15 to 16 energy in most of my turn 2 decks. However, Boost Energy is kind of awkward because it's really not a great turn 1 energy drop. And the turn 1 energy drop is so essential to the deck. So, I have to play 4 Boost Energy. You want to be able to get to those Dragon Rages. So, I play 10 Water Energies, which feels a little bit light, but the last does help smooth that out a little bit. And it's only 1 Water, 1 Colorless, so I only have to find 1 of those 10 Water Energies at the start of the game. But 2 to make the Dragon Rage attack worth it. So, like I said, this does get a little awkward. 4 Boost Energy, 2 Warp Energy. This is to help us get out of special conditions. You can just warp the Gyarados, switch back to the Solrock, free retreat the Solrock back to the Gyarados. Super easy here. Now, the fact that we only do have 12 energy we can attach turn 1 makes me a little uneasy with the deck, but I do play the 1 copy of Poland's Magnemite, so once again, that gives me, I guess, a 13th energy that is searchable via Mentor. So I haven't really had any issues with getting the energy out. It is a little different to play a turn 2 style deck that doesn't have like an Ascension attack. I've got very used to, maybe I shouldn't say used to, maybe I've gotten very spoiled playing a lot of Banette recently where you don't really have to find your Banettes. Your Banettes just kind of find you through Ascension, which decks like Gyarados, you have to either find the Gyarados or the Professor Elm's Training Method. We do max those odds with 3 Elms and 4 Gyarados, so we do have 7 outs to it, but yeah, it's just not the same as having an Ascension attack. So, once again, I actually love playing the deck. I think it's a ton of fun to play. I've had some very frustrated opponents, but at the exact same time, I've also had some really frustrating games. I lost a very favorable matchup this morning because I got double tails on Twister 2 turns in a row. And stuff like that just sort of happens. Playing fun casual games, I'm totally okay with this, but I would be very iffy playing this deck in any sort of tournament setting. Now, I will say, like I said, this is my version of it. A couple of things that DJNulli did do that I thought was very cool is, like I said, he played the Castaway Memory Berry combination. That was very strong. He also played a Rayquaza Delta to give Gyarados no weakness. I think this messes with your energy lineup a lot. So I opted not to play it, especially with a deck like this. I'm just going to straight take my losses to, I guess, any sort of lightning deck. I think even decks like Meta Knight, I really don't think you're going to beat like a Meta Knight deck playing Gyarados, regardless of how you do it. I'm not going to say that. I guess you got a shot with Curse Stone, but it's still a rough matchup. The other thing he did is he did play a 1/1 Dugtrio. I'm assuming as both to stop bench spread decks like Tyranitar, but at the exact same time, it's also going to act as a pseudo safeguard counter. But I don't think Dugtrio is really going to get you anywhere as a safeguard counter. And once again, I'm not too concerned with a lot of the bench damage, but I do think those are great ideas and solid things to test out here. But this is my take on the deck. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you want a deck that has a lot of coin flips and is fun to play and you might not make very many friends with it, then Gyarados is a great deck for you. But if you like the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next video.